Can you hear me, Rene?
I can.
All right, super. All right, everybody. It's great to have you here today. And my name is Gary Fowler, and it is great to have an incredible company as a guest, Rene Arvin from VoiceScript. This is being put together today by GSD, an AI and quantum venture studio located in Palo Alto, California. My name is Gary Fowler, and I am your host. I'm a 17-time serial entrepreneur, been involved in several unicorns. I was on the original management team at Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion, and also Eva.ai, an AI HR tech company that I co-founded with Dr. David Yang, and we sold May 4th of this year to Vizier in Canada, was acquired. We believe that GSD, by the way, GSD stands for Get Shit Done, Venture Studios. We believe that intellectual capacity is evenly spread around the world and opportunities are not. So it's great to have you here, Rene. So Rene, tell us a little bit about it. So, you've got a unicorn in progress and it's incredible. Rene is an accomplished technology entrepreneur, has been a leader with a successful track record of building high growth global organizations with disruptive technologies in areas like artificial intelligence, legal tech, data security, SaaS, cloud services, networking, etc. He has led several companies from startup to high growth revenue, from $0 to $500 million to successful IPOs and acquisitions. So Rene, you've got, how do you come from Indiana to the point of, and all the corporate environment, to the point of where you are today and building this unicorn VoiceScript?
So as a background, coming right out of college, I tried to get a job with IBM and Equipment Corporation, if folks remember DEC from way back when. And because I didn't really have any IT background at the time, nobody hired me. So I started off as a 100% commission salesperson for a small IT company. And within a year, I got a job with a company called Synoptics that sent me over to Europe. And I was the first salesperson to be on their staff in Europe. And I ran basically EMEA for a number of years. At that time, there was no product, no real revenue. And we grew that to over $100 million in revenue just in Europe alone. But over the course of the last 30 years or so, I have had C-level management roles in a number of technology startups. And in the internet space, in the early days of the internet space, data security, wireless technologies, but and I spent about half of my time living in Europe, running worldwide sales for both European-based companies as well as US-based companies. I started my journey in the speech-related AI technology and robotic process automation technology sets about 9 years ago when I moved to Berkeley, California. I was with a startup, and we were building one of the very first crowdsourced platforms out there for transcription. And we built a whole automated workflow platform. We started to integrate speech text as part of that platform. By the time, after about 4 years, we grew that business to, we had 35,000 people per month that we were paying on they were all 1099s, they were all transcribers or translators, literally from over 100 countries in the world. And we had, our payroll was about 35,000 per month. We supported 8 different languages, a number of different vertical markets, medical, closed captioning, as well as legal. And that's where I got my first taste of the legal market and how arcane and technology deprived that particular market segment was. We launched VoiceScript 3 years ago, really with the vision of helping transform what is basically 100-plus-year-old delivery and business model, which was facing a forced transformation. And we designed a platform, an architecture, a software as a service solution for court reporting, but also for the broader legal market. And basically what our products do is in the legal market, you have to capture the record. You have to be 100% accurate on your transcripts, especially when it comes to court reporting. And so we have designed AI technology along with human worker enhanced productivity tools to be able to produce transcripts much faster, much lower cost, and basically supporting a new business model that the whole industry is having to move to.
So, you've gone down through it. So, as you're building this unicorn, you've been involved in these companies after $500 million in revenue from zero. What are the key elements? I mean, what does it take? What's the right stuff to be able to get you done?
So, I mean, I don't want this to be kind of a mini MBA, right? I'm sure a lot of people on this call and who will view the podcast have had MBAs, studied MBAs, have built their own businesses. But basically, it starts out with a vision of what you want to build, understanding what problems you're trying to solve in the industry, and building that strategy out. But beyond that, then you have to find the leadership roles. So you've got a problem that you're solving. You have a technology idea, in our case, a SaaS platform, and now you have to figure out how you're going to build it, how you're going to market it, how you're going to sell it, and how you're going to support it. And each of those roles and a few other roles need to have leadership. And so now you need to start building a roadmap for how you're going to find the right people. What is it that you're looking for in each of those roles? And you need to be able to do that at your senior level management, co-founder level, as well as senior C-level folks. Then you've got to start working with the C-level folks to do the exact same thing for the organizations that they're building. And then also in our case, and in most startup cases, your own plan needs to be in sync with the budget itself. As far as the team, though, we started recruiting folks directly from the industry, but we were looking for folks, not from one company that had one particular, type of approach. We really wanted to try and find as much diversity as we could, small company, large company. But one of the things that we did do was I didn't want to bring on a technology team from the industry. I wanted to have the sales and the product management really help define what we're building, but I wanted to have a fresh pair of eyes or multiple pair of eyes to help us figure out how we were going to build new solutions. And when I look at our own competitors today, I see pretty much most of the competitors we have are taking legacy technology and trying to build new solutions around it. And as a result, they're very far behind because we took a completely fresh approach, understanding the problems that exist today and where the market is headed and the requirements for solutions in the future. We were able to take a clean slate and build some awesome technology that really delivers on what the market's looking for.
So when you're going down through, Rene, when is the time that you understand, besides, having a valuation, the right kind of valuation, that you're on the path to building a unicorn, that it's a unicorn in progress?
So, we've always had the notion that we could be a unicorn, and we're not a unicorn today, right? But we believe that we're on the path to becoming a unicorn. But the foundation is really building a solid company, building a company that has enough of a solution set and enough traction that can grow revenue very quickly and get to the first step, right? 10 million, then 100 million in revenue. But right now, our objective is to get to $100 million revenue, ARR, within the next 3 years. And we feel pretty confident that we've got a good shot at that. And on the way at that point, as we continue to prove out the business model, the solutions, at some point, we will have the kind of valuations that the investment community would tag as a unicorn.
If you've gone down through and raised millions of dollars, what's the secret to raising money?
Oh, it's the secret to raising money is pretty much the same secret as selling, right? You've got to do the research, identify the right kind of investors, especially investors for the stage that you happen to be in, whether you're an angel or seed or VC level. We're at our own company. So we've gone through the whole gamut. We started off with angels. We've been able to attract seed investors from smaller venture capital firms. We have engagements with some very large VCs, but we are not at the stage today where our valuation and the size checks that they'd like to be writing or need to write make sense. But we're building that. We expect to be heading towards a Series A by middle of next year. And so we're already working those relationships today. We have a lot of interest. And once we get to a point where the valuation would support the kind of engagement that these type of VCs are looking for, we'll have built the relationships and established our credibility with them.
Yeah. So, I've been involved in technology for 37 years. I built 17 companies. I was on the original management team at Click Software, which was called Intelligent Electronics, changed the name to Click Software, came up with a family of products, did an IPO on NASDAQ. The company was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion 4 years ago. The key is you don't know at the beginning when you're forming the company where it's going to go, but I will say there's some common elements, some soft themes: the passion, the optimism, the visualization, the networks and contacts in the community that we're dealing with, the people that care about you and want you to succeed, the partnerships around. And sometimes people take it loosely, but these relationships are critically important. I mean, we're in Silicon Valley in Palo Alto, California, and also in Florida. Palo Alto, California, it's like the Oracle, right? There's a lot of connections and contacts there. People from all over the world. It's really a port to the rest of the world. And if you look at it, why? And the reason why is because you've got some of the brightest people and capital is following that money. Family offices, VC funds, angels, super angels. They're looking for companies that are going to make their dent in the universe, that are going to change the world. Think about the challenge we have in front of us. All of us here on this call today, we have this, what I call infobesity. I've written several articles about it. It was a term first coined by Alvin Toffler. And when Toffler wrote his book, Future Shock, it talks about the infobesity. Think about it. How many times with each one of us on this call today have we gotten into a situation where somebody says, I sent you, Nikki, I sent you a message, an email. Did you get it? When did you send it? I sent it 3 weeks ago. Where did you send it? I sent it to your Gmail. No, corporate. I don't remember exactly. You check. What do you say? I can't find it. Will you send it again? Imagine each one of us here, you've got about 300,000 items in your personal cloud. The entire web in 1996 was 257,000 websites. You have more information in your personal cloud than the entire web. Think about the opportunity to build a company. The problem is in your own world, that number is doubling every year. In 5 years, you're going to have 10 million items. How in the world are you going to take track of that information? And I've spoken to the head of the quantum lab at Harvard, Pranea. I've spoken to the lead author of the Nobel for 2007. I mean, it's a challenge we all have. But guys and ladies, this is an opportunity for us to be able to build those billion-dollar unicorns, to solve these complex problems that are in front of each and every one of us. So Rene, you went down through the GSD Labs, the hyper accelerator. Can you tell them a little bit about it and how that really helped you shape your opinion? Because I'm not sure most people aren't familiar with the term hyper acceleration. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so we entered the GSD program, the accelerator program, primarily to help fine-tune our message to investors. And there was a lot of great coaching, a lot of good sessions. In fact, with several of the demo days and some other introductions that were made by the GSD team, a number of those folks ended up becoming investors in a couple of our rounds. But it also helped us to really gel what we thought our vision was and how we needed to articulate the vision with what we were actually doing to execute on that vision. And I think that I would encourage any startups out there that are looking to gain some benefit from an accelerator. GSD is a great program. I know there's other accelerator programs out there, but I would look at the ones that really look to do just that, right? Not just polish up your PowerPoint and make introductions, but also challenge you on what are you doing within your company, within your organization? How are you taking that vision that you're packaging for the investors, and how does that translate to the vision that you have in your own corporate culture? How does that translate into the quarterly and monthly objectives that get you to achieving the milestones that you're building as part of that vision? And I think that GSD really helped us accomplish that kind of thinking.
I mean, the challenge in the planet today, here we are from all over the world on this call. The key is, how do we get that visibility? How do we get those connections to the capital? And how do we really refine the model that we have that's appropriate for today? I mean, think about it. 6 months ago, it was an entirely different world and the valuations were different. Hyperinflation, the war in the Ukraine, things have dramatically shifted. So being able to be plugged in, I know that so we've got about 100 people, 94 people on this call today, but think about it. Each one of us has an idea that could turn into a unicorn. The difference between those people that execute against it, which is just a very small percentage, probably less than 1%, are the people that really believe in their dreams on one side. And this is the Pygmalion effect. And that's the soft side of building a company, that have the grit, right? The grit and determination to get it done. Listen, I can tell you, my first company started at 21 years old. People told me, hey, listen, Gary, it's not going to work. Even my father told me that. And I said, well, I'm going to try it. I was right out of graduate school. And I built this company up. We had over $9 million in sales in the company in about less than 2 year period of time. And it was funny because after the fact, of course, my dad was always this, German English conservative guy. But people came up and said, what you do turns to gold. But that wasn't the case. There's a lot of luck involved. Right product, right place at the right time. The other thing is the mentors and advisors for each and every one of you out there. The mentors and advisors are really important. Unfortunately, I didn't have them for my first startup. But they give you the direction. They give you their credibility and trust and their network to be able to help you grow your company. It's really important. Most of the time people just talk about a unicorn. It's funny, a unicorn is a mythical creature that doesn't even exist. And yet we want to become it. But if you want to become it, what you got to do is you got to dream about it. Now, I've been blessed to have been involved in several unicorns, right? Click Software. We just sold Eva. Eva is a remote workforce management company that was acquired by Vizier. The key is when we started Eva, we didn't know what it was going to turn into. We pivoted 3 times. 3. We were a Google-like search for the personal cloud. Then we were a task assistant. Then we were remote workforce management. So the other thing is you don't want to give up. You got to believe in it. Listen, if you make the wrong turn going down the road, it's not that you stop the trip. You make a U-turn and go back, right? Well, that's what building a startup's all about. The other thing is customer discovery. Each and every one of you got to go out, test your message. What we did is we built a PowerPoint presentation. And I went out to 50 people. I was walking down the street in University in Palo Alto. And I would meet people at cafes. I said, do you mind if I take a few minutes of your time? I'd like to talk to you. My name is Gary. Nice to meet you. And I sat down with them and I did my presentation. I took my iPhone, I put it in a little stand, and I recorded the conversation with them. I said, do you mind if I record? No. And I would do my pitch. And the last thing I said as I was going down, I was listening. What do you think about it? How do you like the graphics? What do you think about the messaging? And as I went down through and did it, the final conversation I had was, would you buy it? Would you take money out of your pocket to buy it? So each one of you are the salespeople. You are the founders. You are the people that's got to get it out to the marketplace. A lot of time we don't want to do the work, especially when the technologists build the companies. They want to build the best product in the world, but they don't go out to the customers to see if they really want to buy it. You got to go out. Don't spend money. Don't waste time. Go out and get shit done, right? Don't just talk about it. And I can tell you, I've built 17 companies. I've been doing this a long time. I've written 200 articles, done 1,000 podcasts in the last 3 years, spoke at the UN about technology as a tool for peace in the 76th Assembly last year, spoke at the World AI Summit a couple of weeks ago, 6,000 people. You have the greatest opportunity we've ever had. Think about the challenges that humanity is facing today, and each one of you here have some piece of that puzzle to be able to make a dent in the universe. And I'm not being facetious about it. I'm saying it right from the heart. You have the opportunity to do it. The question is, do you want to do it? Do you look yourself in the mirror and say, I really want to do it. I really want to change the world. I really want to move forward. I really want to make my dent in the universe. Because it ain't easy. I grew up on a farm in Pennsylvania. You know, we were poor. There's a 500-person village. It was called Nesbitt, PA, little tiny place, close to the home of Little League Baseball. When I grew up, you know, you had dreams. That's what you had. So fulfilling those dreams, taking those companies. I started one of the first e-commerce consulting companies in the world in 1997 when they said Amazon was just for books, right? And I said, it's going to change. It's a $30 billion cottage industry. And we started it. We started doing websites for them, the top companies in the world. And guess what? It was right. It changed. But you, each one of you, have that same opportunity today. Because when I did it, when we started our company, Broadian, people weren't doing e-commerce, right? It was like Amazon's just for books. But the dream comes true. Now today, there's a next generation. Think about it. From AI and drug discovery to e-commerce, to all the things that we need to do, to intelligent assistants that are going to help us guide our lives, kind of like your grandmother. We're going to have these hyper intelligent assistants, and you can build those things, right? That'll help you understand medicine. That'll help you with this infobesity problem, unconditional love. And I'm saying this not loosely because these are some of the things coming out with emotional AI today. But these are the kind of generations that you can move forward, that you can do if you believe in it. And I did a TED Talk, by the way. If you check out TED, you'll see I did a TED Talk about startups. And it's absolutely from the heart and soul is believing in that dream, right? The self-fulfilling prophecy. So, you know, I see there's some people writing, you know, listen, it ain't easy to bootstrap. I had no money out of graduate school, nothing. And I built a company. It's not easy to go out and do it. Go to your family and friends. You know, I took loans against credit cards. I went down through and took personal loans. I mean, I was 21, 22 years old. I did what I had to do to be able to move it forward. Listen, when you're building a company, each one of you build a company. It's kind of like, you know, a billionaire friend of mine. One time I had some doubts. He said, Gary, sit down. And I said, what's being an entrepreneur like, Bob? And I just wanted his opinion. He said, Gary, here, he took dice and put it in my hand, dice. And he said, I want you to hold these dice. He said, what happens if you never roll the hand? I said, nothing. Exactly. Roll the dice. And I came out with the 7. He said, when you're an entrepreneur, it's like rolling the dice. Harvard started the first MBA program in the world, not to teach managers how to be entrepreneurs, but to teach managers how to manage and to not take risk. You need to be comfortable taking risks. You need to be comfortable moving forward and trying it. You need to be comfortable pivoting. You know, people say, well, I don't want to fail. If you don't want to fail, you shouldn't be doing a startup because you're not going to build $1 billion company that way. Look at Elon Musk, right? Look at all the challenges he's had. You know, the electric car, it's never going to work. Nobody's going to buy it. They don't go a long enough distance. He took the Lotus and retrofitted with the battery, and look where he is today. They said that he could never create a company like SpaceX. Look what he's done. Now he's talking about going to Mars. They said he would never be able to do the boring company or solar panel company. And look what's happened. They said he'd never take over Twitter, and he owns it. Think about it. So this isn't, this isn't just serendipity. It's because the guy's focused. You need to have the same kind of focus, literally. So if you want to build a $1 billion company, you've got to have the right stuff. You got to have the right tools in the toolkit, but you also got to have that drive and determination going forward. And Rene, I mean, you're a stunning example of it with VoiceScript. Seriously, you come from the corporate world. You went to school in Indiana. You've changed lives. You're located in Florida. By the way, it doesn't matter where you are. It matters that you have a Silicon Valley mentality. Try things. Don't be afraid. Don't fear. Develop those relationships and network to go forward. So I see that there's a lot of stuff out there. Yeah, the comfort, somebody just wrote the comfort zone. Listen, I met a Scott McNeely, who's a founder of Sun Microsystems. So some of you that remember Sun was sold to Oracle. And I met with Scott one time, and he's told me, I had lunch with him, and he said, always go to areas that you fear the most because you're going to learn the most. And I never forgot that. And I told him later, so I met him several different times, and I told him, I said, hey, Scott, when you told me that, I never forgot it. Go to where the areas are that you feel uncomfortable. That means you're going to learn. The other thing he said that was quite interesting is, I said, why was Sun so successful? Sun stands for, by the way, Stanford University Network. And he said, because we made the nicest boxes in the world. And I said, really? Like the hardware boxes? No, like the paper boxes. We made double-walled cardboard boxes, so they look like they were coming from a big company. So part of it is go out and create the vision. Get the visibility online. Write articles. Do podcasts. Get people out there. So when they Google your name, what happens first? They check LinkedIn, right? Make sure your LinkedIn profile is updated. You want to create a $1 billion company, you better make it look like you're a $1 billion leader. Go down through and write articles. Go to Medium. Go to Forbes or Entrepreneur. Write the articles. I do it all the time. Is it easy? No. Is it fun? Absolutely. So anyhow, I see people asking to connect. Sure. If you want to connect with me, you're welcome to connect on LinkedIn or Facebook. Just text my LinkedIn profile, Gary Fowler. GSD Venture Studios. You can check gsdvs.com. Happy to connect with you. Rene, so, as you're going down through this journey, what do you do when you're going down through and you have those days of doubt? How do you get yourself over the top?
So when you were talking about, taking risks, only now, after 3 years, does our company have the kind of funding that doesn't have a cliff a few months out. And we did it by raising a little bit of money, raising a little bit more money, but basically every year we've raised enough money to see us through a period of time. And at this point, myself and our team, I mean, we've had a few setbacks here and there, because we have the whole team, not just the investors who put money in, who bought into the vision, but the whole team. In fact, my team all came on earning a third or less than what they were making before they joined the company. And the reason that they did that, one, I couldn't afford to pay them more than that, but two, they all believed in the vision. They all had a very similar vision. So just like with investors, you got to find the right match that have a similar vision, that can buy into your vision. You have to have the same thing with your employees. And when you have that, the doubts become less stressful, because and you have to communicate, right? When you have setbacks, you've got to communicate openly with your team, and you all have to understand what went wrong. But if you've got a team of folks, and I'm lucky, I have 6 people that are in the leadership roles in our company, And they all have bought in so tightly into this vision that the setbacks don't hit us as bad. And there's not doubt from, if I had 5 people looking at me going, what the hell do we do now? I might have some doubts, but I really have 5 people that say, all right, let's change this, let's pivot, let's do the next step that we need to get to. And so I would say the most important thing ultimately is to build the team with the folks that are going to have the best vision. And, ideally also the best salesperson you could find, the best CTO you could find, the best marketing person, et cetera. But the best, if they don't buy into your vision, they're not going to be around long, or they're going to create more doubt for you. So it's equally important really to get the folks that are so committed to the vision, buy into the vision. We finally are in a position to increase salaries. We've been increasing salaries every year, but people are now getting closer to what they were earning 3 years ago, and they're all really bought into the opportunity on the equity side. So of course, you've got to share some of your equity with your team. I hope that answered your question, Gary.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, it's interesting, Rene. I had a Bill Owen, who's a 4-star admiral, the #2 guy in the U.S. military, on the show. He's now a venture capitalist. And I said to him, I asked him, how did you decide to become an admiral? And he told me the story about it was youth of 11 years old, saw somebody in dress whites and said, I'm going to do it. And he focused on it, right? And then I said to him, what does it take to become a leader? And it was amazing. He said compassion. And I said, what do you mean? I said, can you give me an example? He said, I was on an aircraft carrier and I knew that they were going to be, my flyers were going out and I was probably going to use 10% of them. And he said, a tear went down my cheek. And he said, because I knew I was going to be the one writing the letters to their mothers and fathers and their families to tell them that they died. And he said, having compassion and know that people care about you more than you even care about yourself changes everything, because people will help you. People will work with you. People want to be part of the team. And it's critically important. If there are ups and downs and ins and outs, and you need to support each other. It's not all up, right? My daughter had lunch with May Musk, Elon's mother, a few weeks ago in New York, a 3-hour lunch. Now, my 26-year-old daughter is also a very successful entrepreneur, way better than her dad, by the way. And she had lunch with her. And so they were talking about what's it take to raise kids that are at the level of Elon and Kimball and his sister. And she said, you let them try things. They took the car door apart and they wanted to figure out how the window worked. And rather than saying it was a bad thing, she let them do it, right? But she said, you got to put it back together again. So let kids try, don't slap their hands. Don't tell them they can't do it. Let them try things. Because when you go down through life, the older you get, the more we become conservative. But in reality, we ought to be exploring, because use your knowledge to be able to make the right decisions in front of you. So, yeah, we've got a lot of different types of questions out there. If anybody has anything particular, happy to get down through and answer them. But the one thing I can say is you must believe in yourself. You must believe in your dreams, right? It's not about other people saying you can or can't do it. It's you. Look yourself in the mirror when you get up in the morning, say, I want to do it. If you create that kind of a vision and an idea, it will come true. It does truly manifest itself. And I'm not trying to get into metaphysics here. I'm just telling you directly. It's called the Pygmalion effect, the self-fulfilling prophecy. Put yourself in the position you want to be. And if you want to realize your dreams, don't wait, right? Do it now. I named my company GSD for a reason. It's Get Shit Done, because it's not about the talk, it's about the action, isn't it? A lot of us talk about things our whole life and never act upon them. Do it. Try. And let me tell you, you will rejoice, right? So you build $1 billion company and you go down through the process of building a company. There's a lot of pleasantries involved. Look at the positive things of it, the positive part of life. I had dinner with a guy named Andrew Struginski. Andrew Struginski is a right-hand man of Rupert Murdoch from Fox. And he said, I've studied 3,000 people around the world, top entrepreneurs. He's the guy that bought the Wall Street Journal for $4 billion, by the way. And Carl Page, Larry Page, the founder of Google's brother, was at the dinner with us. And he said, I've studied 3,000 entrepreneurs. And I said, what's one thing that you've learned from those entrepreneurs? And I was amazed, Rene. He said, they have amnesia. I said, what? He said, amnesia. He said, they never talk about the past. They only look about today and going forward. Never. Because the past has hooks that hold you back. Don't talk about the failures. Of course, you've learned lessons, but move forward, try things. So closing thoughts, Rene, and how do people reach you?
So you can reach me at Rene@voicescript.com. .ai. But you can also find me on LinkedIn. I think I'm the only Rene Arvin on LinkedIn, so it should be fairly easy to find me. Feel free to reach out. I believe in yourself, absolutely. I would add one other thing, though, is that before you strike out, get at least some level of validation from the folks you're going to be approaching for your products or services or solutions, right? And just make sure, because even I've been not sure exactly what we were going to build, but even in those first 6 months before we actually formed the company, our vision got changed because we had enough interaction with the type of customers that we were going to be targeting. And they helped us really formulate what the ultimate vision was. So don't be afraid of taking your ideas. Nobody's going to steal them, right? And in fact, there'll be a bunch of other people that have the same idea. But if you can articulate the vision, get enough feedback from the folks that are going to be your target audience, that you will have a lot more confidence as well.
No, I agree with you 100%. And it'd be great. We're going to have these events on a regular basis. By the way, we do have twice a week, GSD presents Silicon Valley AI and Tech. We have actresses from Hollywood, Guy Kawasaki, top investors from around the world, top startups from around the world. Feel free to tune in. You can check our website, gsdvs.com. I also did one Silicon Zombies yesterday. So if you want to check it, was done on LinkedIn. The key is believe in your dreams. And if you believe in those dreams, they truly can come true. And somebody asked me about what markets are hot. I just said infobesity. Data is a challenge. So think about it. During the pandemic, we couldn't get a roll of toilet paper. Now, here we were with quantum computers, the most advanced technologies in the world, satellites, and we couldn't get a roll of toilet paper. So transparency in the supply chain, manufacturing 4.0. By 2050, we have to double the food supply to feed everybody. And we can't increase the number of cows because 26% of the pollution is methane gas from cows. So plant-based protein from the field to the table. Think about it. Hydroponics, IoT, nutrients, how to be able to think differently, to be able to plant in warehousing instead of to be able to do it in the field. So those kind of things are going to be really important. The average temperatures around the world could go up as high as 7 degrees Fahrenheit by the end of this century. So the bread baskets of the world are going to move around. It'll be Canada, parts of Russia, and the Ukraine will become the bread. Ukraine is partly now, but Russia will become even more. So we got to think about how to deal with it. What opportunities are there for us? And the other thing we got to do is, this is a part of my speech yesterday that I had is, we've got one planet right now. Of course, there are 6 billion Earth-like planets in the Milky Way galaxy, an estimated 2.2 trillion galaxies in the universe. This is from NASA, right? But we have one planet today, one planet we can live on. And I don't know about each one of you, but when I see the pictures of Mars, they don't look like really nice. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to be on the place. It looks like Death Valley on steroids. So we ought to take care of this planet. And the other thing is, a lot of the people that I'm dealing with, ultra high net worth individuals from around the world, they're talking about love and compassion and things like the metaverse. we got to figure out how to work together and live together and help each other, not how to be divisive. We need to figure out how we can help and make that dent in the universe and impact together. So with that, I'd like to say the closing thoughts. I appreciate each one of you coming today. It's great to have you here. Reach out to me directly. So gsdvs.com. You can get me a Fowler International on my LinkedIn profile, Gary Fowler. Happy to talk to you. Go out there, believe in your dreams, go get them, stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. And if you believe, it truly can come true. So I want to thank you for taking your time out of your schedules. It's good to have you all here again. Stay tuned for another exciting edition coming soon. Bye-bye, everybody. Take care of
Thanks,
yourselves.
everybody.